What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. So obviously Logan has been a humongous box office success. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it, and I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. Now, obviously a big thing that we like is Easter eggs. Everybody likes them. Everybody likes things that they might have missed out or not seen, and Logan obviously does not disappoint with providing us some very interesting, some easier to catch, some than others, Easter eggs. So we're going to start off here with Old Man Logan. Now, if you're a comic book fan, you'll recognize that Logan is very loosely adapted from Mark Millar's Old Man Logan, obviously. Despite the huge differences between them, the movie does a really good job in calling back to the source in several ways. First of all, when Caliban tells Logan something's wrong with him, he applies with a nod to the comic's title, "That's right, I'm an old man." Later on, the kids at Eden cut Logan's beard while he's sleeping. Now, the result of that is facial hair, the style that is almost exactly matching the look of the character in the comic. In terms of plot points, the shocking reveal that Professor X accidentally wiped out the X-Men is a twist on how things play out in the source material, where it was Logan who slaughtered his friends after being tricked by Mysterio. Also, on top of that, a lot of the movie posters in the film borrow from Old Man Logan. The image of the hero protecting Lara in his arms is similar to the variant cover in Old Man Logan. Next up, we have the X-Men 2000 callbacks. Now, seeing that this is the final appearance for both Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart, sadly, their long-running roles of, obviously, Wolvie and Charles Xavier, respectively, Logan brings things full circle by referencing the pair's first movie together, 2000's X-Men. In the scene where Charles is first introduced as a confused old man suffering from perhaps Alzheimer's or ALS, he talks to Logan about when they first met, back when he was making a living as a cage fighter, and those with a long memory will obviously recall that Rogue finds Wolverine in a cage fight at the beginning of the original X-Men, which is pretty cool. Less on the nose is Charles' muddled talk about how Lara was waiting for Logan at the Statue of Liberty, and Wolverine reminds him that the event on Statue of Liberty was a long time ago, clearly referenced X-Men's big third act, which revolved around Magneto's evil plan based at the Statue of Liberty. Next up, we have the Greenwood Cemetery and also Logan's license plate. Now, it turns out that the scene that was used in the trailers of, Logan drinking while attending a funeral was not what it actually seemed to be. It really messed me up and threw me in for a loop. He was actually only there as a driver. Now, still, there are a couple of Easter eggs hidden throughout here to keep it significant. First one, the funeral occurs at Greenwood Cemetery, as you know, as well as a real-world location in Brooklyn, New York. It's also appeared in several Marvel comics, including Deadpool and Fantastic Four. It might be a coincidence, but a couple of the gravestones in the cemetery read Peters and Rogers. Are these some grim references to Quicksilver actor Evan Peters and Captain America himself, Steve Rogers, or just a coincidence? You decide. Now, with the license plate of Logan's Chrysler limo is also pretty interesting. WER 112. Now you may be saying, what does that have to do with anything? Well, it's most likely that it's a nod to Wolverine 112, which sees a lonely Logan feeling guilty for his role in Professor X's transformation into Evil Onslaught. Swap Onslaught for the mysterious Westchester incident, and you have the plot of the movie. Next up, we have Caliban. Now, Ricky Gervais' frequent comedy partner, Stephen Merchant, gives a rare dramatic performance in Logan as albino mutant Caliban. Fans who know their stuff will remember that Caliban previously appeared in X-Men Apocalypse as played by the Icelandic-French actor Thomas Lemarquis. The varying depictions of Caliban are only one of the main reasons why Logan must take place in a significantly alternate timeline from other movies at this point. Now, there is some crossover between the two, however. Donald Pierce talks to Caliban at one stage and references how he used to be on our side. This is perhaps a nod to Caliban being a shady underground broker in Apocalypse rather than the good guy aide to Charles that he is in Logan. The idea that Caliban's good guy gone bad type is also reversed in a situation in the comics, because at first he was, of course, an ally to the X-Men, but later on became one of the Apocalypse's Four Horsemen. Next up, we have Dr. Xander Rice. Logan isn't the type of film to have an out-and-out supervillain, but it does have an immoral scientists pulling the strings behind the scenes. Obviously, Richard E. Grant's Dr. Xander Rice is the chief scientist at Alkali Transgen and is responsible for wiping out mutant kind. His team planted mutant gene suppressors into popular food and drink products. He also mentions that his father worked for Weapon X and was murdered by Wolverine, so it's likely that he's referring to Logan's breakout from Alkali Lake, where he massacred everyone in sight. We also previously saw this in X-Men Apocalypse, and this is also how it plays out in the comics itself, where Rice's murder is what propels Xander to take his vengeance on the mutant race. Now, it isn't actually referenced in the movie, but it is likely that Alkali Transgen are branch of Essex Corp, the company that took Logan's blood from Alkali Lake, and in the post-credit scene of Apocalypse, we got to see that. So we can assume that this was used, the blood was used to create Lara, and that Essex Corp CEO Nathaniel Essex, aka Mr. Sinister, is still waiting in the wings. Next up, we have my favorite Easter egg, which was X-23 and X-24. Now, Logan gains a daughter of sorts here in the form of Lara, aka X-23. Now, in the comics, if you remember, Lara takes on the mantle of Wolverine after he dies, so it's entirely possible that we haven't seen the last of her. Now, Lara's backstory is being experimented on by Rice, but being cared for by one of the facility's nurses is taken straight from the comics origin X-23, Innocence Lost. Now, in particular, the scene where she cuts her own arm with her adamantium claws is pulled right out of its pages. Similarly to that, the image of Lara on her knees with her claws out recalls the cover of NYX number 4. Logan is revealed to have a second fully grown clone named X-24. The character is original to the film, but the unseen X-24 project was mentioned in Innocence Lost, being destroyed before it was actually unleashed. Now, there have been other evil Logan clones in the comics too, including a zombie and a robot, so it may be a bit of a stretch, but there's also a certain similarity to Daken, Logan's evil son from the comics. And now, last but not least, we have the classic costume. Now, despite fans having called for it in the past, nearly 20 years, Hugh Jackman never got to wear Wolverine's classic yellow costume on screen. While it was the right decision to do away with it again in Logan, the colorful suit wouldn't have fit in the film's somber tone. It just wouldn't have made sense. It is all alluded to at several points in the film, but as we glimpsed in the trailers, Logan reveals that X-Men comics exist in this universe as fictionalized versions of the adventures of the mutant team. In these comics, specially commissioned for the film by Marvel artist Jose Quesada and Dan Panasian, Wolverine wears the typical outfit. Logan later angrily rants about how the world is nothing like the comic books though, including the fact that heroes don't wear leotards. Classic Wolverine also appears in action figure form in the tragic final scene of Logan's funeral. One of the mutant children is seen holding his Wolverine doll, acting as a final, touching reminder that these children will always remember him as a hero. Thank you guys for watching. Did you catch any of these? Did we miss anything? Make sure to comment down below and give us a like, and let us know what movie we should talk about next. Thanks.